Greetings. I'm your host, Glen Alex, and this is The Glen Alex Show, the 2023 Positive Change Podcast Award winner. Each episode of The Glen Alex Show focuses on a different aspect of health because I believe in total health. You are whole and all of you matter. And I am on a mission to help you be joyful, connected, confident, and complete. The life experience I call wealth, WELLTH, which is health plus other riches. Let that sink in. The more joyful you are and the healthier you are on an individual level, then that can only help create a healthy collective. And that way the world will be safe and loving for everyone. Please hit the subscribe button now to stay connected with the Glen Alex Show. And then stay tuned for this very important episode on the power of breathing.
Welcome to the Glen Alex Show, where your health matters, set your mind, let it flow. Joyful, connected, confident, complete. Let Glen Alex help you back on your feet. The Glen Alex
Meet Tim Thomas, a man on a mission to transform lives and uplift the world, one night of quality sleep at a time. He is also founder of Breathwork in Bed. As a former Special Forces operator, Tim channeled his expertise into creating some of Australia's most impactful veteran mental health recovery programs. His mission is to deliver actionable strategies and transformative insights that you can implement immediately to improve your wellness and unlock your potential. At the heart of it all, Tim discovered that connection, both to ourselves and others, is the foundation of a truly meaningful life. His approach is rooted in the belief that we're all in this together. And when one of us wins, we all win. And as you know, that's right up my alley. So, Tim, welcome to the Glen Alex Show.
It is so great to be here. Warm greetings from down under.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the time accommodation as well.
No, this is fine. This isn't studio lights. This is the sun coming up in Australia right now.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. I was attracted to your work because breathing, breath, and sleep are two of my favorite health tools to utilize in my personal life and with my clients as well. So, can you just tell us what led you specifically to breath work?
Sure. Well, it wasn't until I had like a chronic illness, Glenn, that I realized we're not in an age of information, we're in an age of marketing. You know, like the first 6 pages of Google are marketers, and the goal of a marketer is to get repeat sales. So I'm hurting, I'm looking for answers, but I'm not finding them because I'm just coming up against marketers. And they're good at saying what you want to hear. But what no one told me was that when you actually find a healer, healing takes far less time than you think. But healers aren't as easy to find. You know, they're not on the first 6 pages of Google per se. They're not the loudest voice in the room. So it wasn't until I discovered, and I'm dyslexic, I see things in patterns, so I don't question something if it works. If it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid, right? And I had a cold sore, right? And I was going to spend $20 on lysine to fix the cold sore. And then my mate said, hey, don't spend $20 on your lysine. Do this particular kind of breath work. It'll get rid of it. I'm like, okay, if it saves me $20, whatever, right? And then I did it and it got rid of this cold sore.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow, okay, there could be something in this. And then I started getting, the further I went into my breath work, the further I realized that it's not a set of lungs that we own, Glenn. It's a medicine cabinet with a lot of different shelves. You
Okay.
breathe a certain way, you elicit a certain medicine. So, you can look at a big gym, right, and see all the different bits of equipment that work all the different parts of your body. Your lungs is like it's got like a lot of different workout gear in there to work different parts of you. And you don't hear out this sort of stuff because no one's making money from it. It's not a
Right.
repeat sales thing.
Right. And that's a really interesting way to describe breath work and lung function. I've not never heard of breath worker describe it that way. And that created quite the visual for me. So I hope it captivates the audience as well.
Oh, it goes beyond structural engagement. Yes, I'm a breathwork coach, but I see myself as someone who introduces you to the new love of your life.
Okay.
Like when you start this relationship with your lungs, there's no repeat sales.
Okay.
And of course, I've created certain easy to access resources that people can use, but once people start discovering the power of their own lungs, they start becoming what I call sovereign. And the world we currently live in it's sort of an economy, a whole economy based on you not knowing your own sovereignty, you not knowing your own power.
Yes.
Because when I didn't know the power of my breath, I told a doctor I couldn't sleep. And I lost 6 years of my life to pills. And I know I'm not the only one that has done that. And I can't get that time back. I didn't know breath work could relax my body and mind, could kick out the intrusive thoughts, could bring anti-inflammation to my chronic injuries. Wow, right, but no one's making money from this, so you don't hear about it. So it's usually healers are usually people that were really messed up, found something super powerful, have mastered the connection to that powerful thing, and so when they interact with others, they can make that connection to that person in far less time.
Yes. Yes. It's really unfortunate and kind of a shame of the human condition is that health, we have sick care, we don't have health care. And you're right, people are making a bundle of money off of everyone else being sick. And it sometimes is a struggle for me in working with clients because they want to grab that pill. They want a diagnosis and they want a pill for it and not do the actual work. And breath work is one of the main things I recommend that people do because it is healing.
And imagine this. Imagine all the things that we go after. Like there's something you want to achieve in this world. And we tend to think once we achieve that, that'll give me an opportunity to experience a certain emotional state. It'll be so good if I can have that, car, house, partner, whatever. Um, Imagine this with with your breath, you can create states within your body. You can create that state of peace, power, focus. Imagine before you left your house, you could give yourself all those things yourself and not have to go outside and chase something.
Yes.
So imagine giving yourself that before you leave the door. Yeah, and then the rest of the day is just a victory lap. And you can just be in appreciation instead of expectation of the day. That's a massive shift. When people can know and access their own power, their own sovereignty, their own state, then we are less likely to believe it when someone else says, "Hey, if you want to be happy, you've got to have this or do that." You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's amazing how much we believe when we don't see our own power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That gives us more control over our life experience in the present moment. And we're not living in the past or so obsessed about the future. So I totally agree with that. Now, you had mentioned that um, the lungs, it's more than structure. And I listened to your ebook, most of it, and I like when you said that we were breathing before we were thinking. Can you please bring that point home? for
Sure.
anyone listening, especially those experiencing anxiety and depression.
Oh, Glenn, this is the gold. Thank you for presencing us to that. And everyone, in about 3 minutes, you'll be really glad that Glenn brought this up, because if you're going to understand the power of your breath, okay? Before we were sentient, as think of us as human beings and how we evolved, before we were sentient, putting, paintings on rock walls, we were breathing. Before we were speaking, before we developed language, we were breathing. So that deep ancient wiring still lives inside of us, and it's super, super powerful. And if you want to, I highlight this by highlighting the negative side of it. Imagine if someone was pushing on your lungs and you couldn't breathe. All of a sudden, everything stops. Your whole focus goes on your breath, because that breath wiring outranks every other wiring in your body.
Okay.
And when you understand that power, and most people only experience it when it's getting taken away, but when you can enhance that, you start seeing that the breath is older than your thoughts, and your breath can kick out those intrusive thoughts. Your breath is older than your words. And I'll tell you something, psychologists train for 7 years, and nobody tells them that some trauma goes down deeper than the words can reach. And so it has to be a embodied experience for them to get healing. And I got no problem with, talk therapy, but good ones understand that we're connected to everything. And the quickest way to do that is actually through your breath. And it's not just feel good stuff. One of the reasons why I passed Special Forces selection at 30, I was the oldest allowable age at 30, was because I understood how the lungs worked. And the body has a ranking structure for blood. And if certain parts of your body are more important to your function than other parts, right? And so it has a ranking structure to where it puts the blood in, and it happens automatically without you knowing it. So like our brain's really important. If that doesn't get enough blood, it'll go, I'm more important than everyone else. I'm getting the blood. It'll knock you out. So then the blood goes to the brain. The lungs, they're pretty important too. Okay. But unlike the brain, they're a massive muscle group, and they can take up to 1/3 of your total blood volume. And I was up against guys that were younger, fitter, faster, stronger, probably smarter than me, right? But I could outlast them because my diaphragm was really conditioned, and you could hear it in them. These big, strong guys, they would go, and their blood would go to their diaphragm away from their arms and legs. Whereas they called me Old Man Tomo. He never stopped, simply because I didn't like the nickname, but because I understood the importance our whole physiology puts on breath. Yeah, so I hope that answers the question, and everyone listening.
It did answer the question, and it also just raised another point for me, is that um, when clients are in distress, they want to think their way through it. And I'm like, if you could think your way through it, you would be through it already.
Yeah.
So breathe. Utilize your breath to help connect you to whatever that experience is, and that can help promote your healing.
You raised another really good point, Glenn. The way I sort of see it is, this sentience that is a relatively new bolt-on to our evolutionary tract, and it's kind of like the new kid on the team. It's unsure of its place, so it's always talking. Hey guys, I want to run it like this, and in its confusion, it goes, "Well, I want to be the leader. I'm going to tell everybody what to do." And it's kind of like the body tries to allow for the team. But what the breath does is remind that little guy, hey, you're part of something a whole lot bigger and a whole lot older, little fella. Calm down. Okay.
You're not even accurate most of the time.
And here's the thing. I've observed our sentient mind is a bit like a garden. Whatever you water grows.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, this guy here, me, I was watering the weeds of stress. And those stress weeds grew and grew and grew to a certain size when eyeballs popped out of them, and they become sentient. They become aware of their existence. They became aware of the things that I did that fed them, and they became very aware of the things I did that would starve them.
Mm-hmm.
And they would fight the hardest when I was about to do something that would empower me, because they're used to me being stressed and feeding those weeds.
Yes.
And if you've ever experienced like, I want to do some exercise, there's that resistance before you do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the disempowered parts of you aware that when you become truly powerful, they're gone.
Yes.
So the stress weeds scream the loudest before they get kicked out.
Okay.
And once you understand that's what you're up against, you can use it as a indicator that you're moving towards something powerful. So before you're getting your sneakers on to do some exercise or whatever, and you've got that resistance, you'll say, "Yeah, I hear you now. You're telling me that I'm about to step into something super, super powerful." So like an enemy saying, "Go south, you go north." Two doors in front of you, your enemy says, "Go to the left one," or you go to the right one. But just being aware, and this is where you have to understand, yes, breath work is super powerful, but if you aren't aware that there will be resistance before you start doing this, you'll never actually tap into it, because you're, like you said, your own mind tries to justify itself. It doesn't want to have you connecting 100%. It likes to sort of run the show. So just understand that when you do breathe, there will be resistance, but between breath 15 and 20, those stress weeds will be kicked out, and the rest of your mind will be like, thank goodness you kicked those guys out.
Okay.
Keep doing this. This is working.
Okay. Okay. And thank you for that number, because that helps people understand that it will take a little bit of time instead of, in one or two breaths, they're fixed or it's all better. It might take a little longer. So thank you for that number.
And this wasn't something that I read about. This was discovered, and I mentioned this in the book. And I'll put a clickable link for everyone after this. But um, I'd fought in Afghanistan, but when I got divorced, lost my house, home, money, regular access to kids, sleeping on the couch in my parents' house, I was in a very different war zone in the head,
Hmm.
and the stress weeds were loving it. And even though I was, a breathwork coach and I knew breathing would help, it's like I couldn't. Those stress weeds had me so locked into place. And at 2 a.m., I'm not sleeping, and I get up and I'm like, I'm gonna take a lot of pills, take a lot of alcohol, maybe do self-harm, maybe do all three.
Okay.
And then I look at my left thumb. No joke. I look at my left thumb. I say, Tim, you can take one breath. Take one effing breath. And I drove it into my chest, went, and it was like the first breath I've ever taken from being underwater. And I'm like, okay, this is working. Take two. I drove two fingers into my chest. Oh my gosh, this is working. Take three, and finger after finger after finger, breath after breath after breath. Get to 10, get to 15. And then somewhere between 15 and 20 breaths, those stress weeds got kicked out.
Okay.
And no joke, it was like the rest of my mind was like, Tim, thank F, you kicked those guys out. This is working. Keep doing it. We love you.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, how did you make the connection between breath work and sleep?
Sure. Well, sleep was a real problem for me. And so I started making these little recordings, because breath is conscious and unconscious, but you need something to focus on for you to do it.
Mhm.
And if you start breathing on your own, you kind of lose track. So breath work, yes, it's a medicine cabinet, but you need the right dose. So if you had a headache and you just picked up a Panadol and licked it, it wouldn't be enough to do the stuff it's meant to do. So breath work, I'd make these recordings to go to sleep with, and you'd have to breathe for a certain period, for a certain duration, and it wasn't long, really, a few minutes. But that thing that you could focus on, it says breathe in, oh, you breathe in. It says breathe out, oh, you breathe out. It says
Okay.
hold for a second, you hold for a second. Simple, 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 but I needed that focus, so I recorded that going to sleep. But then sometimes I'd wake up, and I was running a business. I'd have to get up at 2:30 a.m. and I'd feel like absolute lead. I'd want to kind of puke, and then I started making ones to get out of bed, and it made such a difference. And then I just started sending these recordings out to friends, and getting them to put them on their phones to help. But it was a bit clunky. It wasn't quite working. Um, and then I did this workshop at an army base, had hundreds of corporals and sergeants in the room, and this officer contacted me afterwards. He didn't attend, but he said, I had all my corporals and sergeants coming up to me saying that was the first good night's sleep they've had in up to
Hmm.
5 years.
Okay.
And this is only after one exposure, right?
Right.
And he thought it was awesome. And I'm like, actually, it's terrible. They haven't slept in 5 years. Do you know the impacts of not sleeping for five
Right.
years? You know, and it could have been so simply fixed, right? But what he said next removed me from public life, Glenn. And that was, it was good when you were there, but what have you got when you're not there? And I'm like, oh, I'm not permanent. I'm not a permanent thing. I'm powerful and positive, but if I care about somebody, I want them to access it that night, the next
Okay.
week, the next year, the next decade. And so that's when I sculpted, I created my company called Breathwork in Bed, and it's got this super, super simple sleep online resource that asks you when you want to sleep, when you want to wake up, and then we just have those notifications falling out of the phone exactly when you need it. So it's a simply
Okay.
tap and tap because people are tired because they're often their plate's already full. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you could tell them a heap of hacks, but they're not going to do them at nighttime. But if they see that little notification, they press it and they press play, and there's a little voice that goes, breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Then that's doable, you know. And then
Right.
and then as sleep improves, there's an accumulation effect. And you start seeing that everything in your life improves when your sleep improves.
Oh gosh.
You know, just like everything depreciates when it goes down. I tell you, in the special forces, we knew nothing about the science of sleep, but we just knew it. We would actively target our enemy's sleep because we knew if we took it out for 3 nights, it would mess them up better than a bullet.
Okay.
You know, and how many people out there are struggling with this, and the ease at which it can be solved naturally, drug free, and immediately, um, almost defies belief. I wouldn't have believed it unless I experienced it myself. That, and even, yeah. I hope that gets you what you need there, Glenn. I'm loving the gold you're pulling out here.
But I think I can't think of anything better than a good night's sleep. I am the most clear, the most energetic, the most joyful when I have good, deep, restorative sleep. So I again, I really appreciate
Tell
you
me about the Glenn that
combining.
doesn't get a good night's sleep.
Oh, I don't know if you want to know about her. So no, I truly appreciate you combining the two and that being, your work with others. What impact did you discover good sleep had on PTSD?
You have to understand that one feeds the other. Sleep poor people have a 2 to 300% increase in mental health issues.
Hmm.
2 to 300%. Okay. And problems are often researched and data's around problems because then they can sell you a solution, a pill or whatever.
Right.
Okay. But my theory is you are improved 2 to 300% if you're getting good sleep. So the opposite exists,
Yes.
and that's all I did with my veterans. Okay, I had this goal of saving 40 veteran lives from suicide, lifetime goal. I didn't care if I worked the rest of my life to achieve that. That was achieved within a year because one of the principles I ran off was improving sleep. The success of all my programs was measured on how much it improved sleep. And when I started
Okay.
seeing the power of it, I'm like, well, why don't we make it all about sleep? Um,
Right.
because once people, I mean, here's the big misconception when it comes to helping others. There's an idea that if you have to help somebody, there's a bunch of stuff you have to do. I work off the fact that they have 98% of everything they need inside of them,
Yes.
but but if they're in fatigue, if they're feeling alone and isolated, everything, it doesn't matter how much you pour into them, and millions of dollars get spent on veteran mental health in general.
In
But if you're
general.
not addressing their fatigue, if you're not addressing their isolation they're feeling, because that's what pain does.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's emotional or physical. Pain after a certain duration or intensity transforms without the person even knowing it into loneliness and isolation. I'm the only person going through that. And that feeds into fatigue because if I can't drop my guard for a second, because if I do, something bad's going to happen, it's going to be my fault.
Right.
So And this escalates, and it's amazing how resilient the human body is, because we can do this for years, you know, and until the point comes, and I have to speak to this because not many people do, and I do speak to this. Um, Suicide often happens with this conversation. They ask the question because they're alone, they're feeling fatigued. This has gone on for years, could be decades, and they start saying, "Well, what do I know? I know that I'm in pain, and I can see I'm causing pain to others.
Mhm.
And if I look into my future, I can genuinely see that's not going to change. So here's a really good idea. I'm going to end the pain. I'm going to
In
end the
the
pain to
pain.
you. I'm going to end the
Yeah.
pain to me. I'm going to do everyone a favor." And and they often get kind of happy because they found this solution, permanent
Hmm.
solution to a temporary problem. Um, and when I'm talking to guys, I said, look, honestly, if you are set to this, I can't stop you, but know that you are deluding yourself if you think you're going to reduce pain in this world,
Right.
because anyone who knows you, their pain is going to be multiplied by about 1,000. So don't kid yourself. If you do it, you do it, but don't kid yourself that it's going to relieve pain. It's going to multiply it by about 1,000. And it's that sort of interruption of their thoughts where they start thinking, well, what else is there?
Right.
Um, and my journey into this, Glenn, was through the veteran space. But everyone, yourself, everyone listening has gone through some kind of journey or is currently up against something.
Right.
And the golden question, and this is what I say to these guys that are ready to off themselves, I'll say to them, and I ask everyone to draw this question to them. Honestly, how many people are up against what you're up against right now? And give it a number. Like this isn't make believe, you
Oh,
know? How many
a
people?
million.
1 million, right?
A
So
million.
so and they're really out there. They're not make believe. They're really out there. Now imagine this. Left and right of you, there's 500,000 people each side, and they're willing you on. Unconsciously, they're saying, if you can find a way forward for you, you can find a way forward for us. And it's in that conversation we start breaking our isolation. We start seeing our tribe, and we start seeing that if I make 1 inch of progress, it's not just 1 inch, it's 1 million inches of progress.
Right.
That one appointment, that one conversation, that one reach out. And it doesn't matter if it takes you a week, a month, a decade to move forward. That's the amount of time you're going to be able to save those, 500,000 people to your right, 500,000 people to your left. And they're going to say, and these are people you possibly haven't even met yet. And
Yeah.
they're going to say words to the effect of this, Glenn, or whoever's listening, we are so glad you chose what you chose back in 2025 because you've now helped us move forward in far less time.
Well, we are in this together. And I firmly believe that we cannot have a healthy collective with unhealthy individuals.
Very unhealthy things happen when we start feeling like we're all alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Or we have no power, we can't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Okay. Well, I also came across your, uh, well, I heard you speak about relax your body in 3 breaths.
Yeah.
So I want you to show me.
Sure. Okay. I will show you half of it because I know we're going to try and keep this to half an hour, and I'll put a link to the full version. Okay.
Okay.
I call this the breath of peace and possibility. All right.
Okay.
So all we need to do is be seated, or laying down, but don't be doing this driving, or anything else. Just give you full attention. And breath work is easy. We've been doing our whole lives, but consider the possibility you've been doing it wrong. All right. So the thing about this one is because it's possibly a new way of breathing that you haven't breathed before. I have to ask 3 questions to just let the goodness in. So the question I'm going to ask you, Glenn, but I ask everyone listening to give answer in your own time to get the most out of this experience.
Okay.
So Glenn, do you give permission for your breath to fully nourish every cell in your body?
Yes.
Glenn, do you give permission for your breath to fully nourish every cell in your mind?
Yes.
Do you give your breath full permission to nourish every part of your unconscious space?
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic. All right. So, all we're going to do is breathe in and then breathe in again and 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 again, and then just let that go. Now, did you notice when you breathe in again and again, there was some extra space opening up top here?
Hmm.
Okay. So what I love about my job, Glenn, sorry, is I show them how wondrous their body is.
Okay.
And now you didn't know this, but you've got little turbo buttons in your fingers. Okay. So your two fingers and thumbs, like you're trying to pinch something. When we breathe in and we get to that what I call the secondary inhale, when we breathe in and we get to into this part here, I want you to pinch your fingers as hard as possible and notice the effect that has on this secondary inhale. Cool,
Okay.
cool. So we're gonna blow it out now. Blow it out, shake it out. Blow it out, shake it out. Out, 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 out. Start breathing in. Hit those turbo buttons. And just hold it, wriggle it round for a second, wriggle it round. And if it feels good, let it out with a sigh.
Mm.
There you go. All right.
Some expansion.
Oh yeah. Okay, we
Okay.
are we are only just getting started.
Okay.
And so this is it. We've got this space in our lungs. And again, I'm only going to show you half of this. We've got this space in our lungs up here that we can maximize with our fingers. Now we're going to maximize that even more. When it comes to, we're gonna blow it out, but as we breathe in, we're going to keep our mouth closed and we're going to double the speed as we snort our nose and raise our nose to the
Okay.
ceiling. Okay, I'll give you a
Okay.
demonstration. So I blow it
Okay.
out, and I go, okay, and I really snort it through my nose because if you look at my nose, okay, behind my nose, okay, I've
Yeah.
got a sinus cavity. Okay, we all do.
Yes.
And when I was a professional fighter, my coach said, before you do a combination, always do a big snort because that sucks the air over your sinuses straight into your brain.
Okay.
Whether that was based in science or not, I don't know, but it worked in combat and it works. It's going to work now and going to have an increased effect on your oxygen uptake.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to breathe it out, have our turbo buttons ready, and then raise our nose, raise our chin, and then just hold it and wriggle it for a bit. Cool, cool.
Okay.
Okay, blowing it out, blowing it out, 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 out. Start breathing in, raise the chin, double the speed, pinch the fingers, open, open, hold it, wriggle your shoulders, feel that chest opening up, opening, opening, wriggle that shoulders, relax everything, feel like your chest is opening like a flower, and if it feels good, let it out with a sigh.
Okay. I felt pressure in here.
Yeah,
That's part
that,
of it too.
that's where your sinuses are.
Okay. Okay.
And these sinus cavities, they're a muscle group that nobody works. Nasal breathing increases your nitric oxide uptake. Nitric oxide acts like a dilator, allows your blood to circulate. So nasal breathing is, let's just say, for thousands of years, the Chinese have been saying the nose is what's called heaven's gate. And
Okay.
science has shown that when you breathe through your left nostril, you go into rest and digest. Your parasympathetic nervous system allows you to
Okay.
relax, go to sleep. So if you want to go to sleep at night, cover your right nostril, breathe through your left, and in the morning when you want to wake up, cover your left nostril, breathe through your right, and that gets you woken up and ready
Okay.
to go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do right now is just that breath of possibility. I call that breathing it, that real snort, because these things here, these pinch buttons, they become circuit breakers. So when I've got stuff in my head, intrusive thoughts, I'm a human, things piss me off. Okay, so if I'm in a queue and I'm getting annoyed and I got tension in my body, I will discreetly in public hold it, wriggle it around, and then the energy that's in my system naturally goes to where it needs to go to.
Okay.
So this is me. I was a guy who had pills by my bed, in my car, in the medicine cabinet, in the fruit bowl, because I was always trying to regulate my state. Okay. So, but
Okay.
this little thing here, this is your carry case of self-regulation.
Okay.
And, if you've ever tried to sort of blow the dust off something, when we snort like that, we're blowing the dust off our brain. That's how I sort of see it. So if anything's in there that I don't want to be, any intrusive thoughts, I'll snort it and get rid of it.
Okay.
So that's just like an easy, practical tip. So we're just going to do this 3 times and then just notice the impact it's got in our body. All
Okay.
right.
All
So
right.
blowing it out, blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out. Getting ready to squeeze, double the speed on the inhale, snort that nose. Open, 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 lean back, lean back. Feel that chest opening up. Feel it opening up. Wriggle it around, wriggle it around. And if it feels good, let it out with a really long sigh. The longer you let the sigh out, the better. And then out, 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 out. We're going to go straight back into the breath. Breathing in, hit your fingers. Open, 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 bigger, wider, open more than you've ever opened before. And now let out a different sound with a sigh. Out, 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 out. Blow it out, blow it out, blow it out, blow it out, blow it out. Now all the way in. Here we go. Last one. Okay, now just hold it and relax everything. Let your head fall forward. Relax everything. Let your head fall forward. Let your head fall forward. And then hum it out. Just hum. For as long as you can. Out, out, out. Keep on going out, out. Just when you think you can't stop, keep going out, 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 out. And when it's all the way out, just hold for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And allow yourself to feel the energy traveling through your body right now. And energy has an intelligence of its own. It'll go to where it needs to go, because you've given permission for it to nourish your body, your
I
mind,
did.
your unconscious mind. It energy will cross all those borders if you let it,
Okay.
whereas energetic as we are blocked. It's funny how that
Yes.
works.
Yes.
So whenever you need it, of course, I've got online resources people can access. But if you take nothing but this breath of possibility, it's going to serve you when you need it, how you need it, and you're going to have that power, and it won't cost you anything.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, how can someone contact you or check out your resources?
Sure. 3 very simple words. Breath work, 1 word, in bed. Think breakfast in bed, but breath work in bed. If you
Okay.
go into your phone in your app store, okay, put in breath work in bed. We're doing 28 days free breath work. I've made it super simple because people are busy enough. You tell it when you want to sleep, when you want to wake up, you'll have those notifications falling out of your phone. And it's the lifestyle of that which will start that accumulation. Like we all
Okay.
know we're supposed to do these certain things, but if you can have those regular, easy notifications, you won't believe the difference it's going to make in your life doing 5 or 10 minutes of breath going to sleep, 5 or 10 minutes waking up. There's some incredible bonus material in the wake up tracks, but I'll let you discover that for yourself. So breath work in bed, it's across all the socials, but I tend to think that if I could do anything for anybody, it would be improve their sleep. Because at the end of the day, Glenn, it's not about the sleep you get, it's the awesomeness at which you live life. You've said it yourself. You
Mhm.
become a much better person, you know. And if you care about somebody, you care about how they sleep,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. This has been really fascinating. I'll be honest, I was a little apprehensive about doing the the breathing exercise on camera. See how it looks in post-production.
You look, I mean, you're like happier now after breathing.
Honestly, I feel softer inside.
Oh, that is so lovely.
It's a very gentle shift, yet I can feel it. I can feel it. So thank you very much.
Oh, that is so good. So good. I love your description, softer inside, because that means everything's flowing. People can
Yes.
come close to you now. People want to come close to you, you know?
No tension, just I'm just in a state of being. I really like that. Thank you.
My
Okay.
absolute pleasure. Imagine if you could do that going to sleep, do that waking up. It's
Right.
very possible. Very
Right.
possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I will definitely share this. So, Tim, thank you so much for making time, for getting up early, and for sharing your wisdom and your experience. And I truly, truly appreciate your work. Thank you so much for helping humanity. Thank you.
It's been more than a pleasure.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll be in touch. You take care.
You too.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Glen Alex Show. I really hope that you learned how breathing can enhance sleep and overall health. So please like, subscribe, and share this episode.
Refresh your spirit with a nourishing thought.
Please allow me to leave you with this nourishing thought. Dr. Andrew Weil said, improper breathing is a common cause of ill health. And Wilhelm Reich said, physical and emotional states can be altered by changing the breathing pattern. So true. In my early 20s, I discovered deep breathing when I learned to meditate. That deep meditative breath soon became my regular breathing pattern, so much so that I can immediately feel stress because my breathing gets shallow and gets stuck in the chest. Breathing deeply is calming to me. It enhances my focus. It enables me to cope with physical and emotional distress. It also helps me get deep restorative sleep. And it is just so soothing. No drugs nor medication needed. And in fact, the power of breathing was reinforced when I witnessed my brother and my father take their last breath. There is an abundance of breathing techniques for you to utilize to positively impact different aspects of your health and well being. So you have many, many options to learn breathing skills, including the app created by today's guest. To learn more about breathing and your total health, visit glenalex.com. Order your copy of my 3-time award-winning book, Living in Total Health. Order your copy of the Amazon bestseller, Wellness Through Words, that includes my chapter, Living Well with Boundaries, and book your complimentary consultation with me. Then tune in to the next episode of The Glen Alex Show. And until next time, be well.